Mike Perlak here to entertain you with the help of Helen Reddy.
I am strong.
She's strong.
I am invincible.
She's invincible. And what is she?
Invincible. I am woman.
Yeah, the modern woman could probably take a lesson or two about feminine strength from Helen Reddy. All right, I got to go to work, so let's get right into this. Feminism is fueled by, feeds off of, and flourishes from human obsessive-compulsive behavior. Again, I'm going to use an example of my own life. Now, also the reason that I think for the holy matrimonial union between feminism and corporate society. My father had a very obsessive-compulsive personality. And because of this, my sisters and I suffered for 6 years of our childhood because of it. My male feminist father. He had this compulsive thing about him about dust on furniture. Over the years, those rare occasions when family would visit, I remember an aunt would assure me, Mike, we'll help you dust. We'll help you dust before we leave. Which, to no avail. As soon as they were gone, me and my sisters still had to suffer. But I do remember a cousin of mine asking me, what is there to dust? And at the time, I was just a child. So I really didn't have an answer for her. But every time I look back on that memory, though, I think, God, if I had the mind I have now, that back then, I would have said, what can I say? My father's a flunking moron. Towards the end of the 6 years, it just got worse and worse and worse, to the point where he was having us dust furniture every night after school and getting us up at 3 o'clock in the morning to dust again before school. I remember falling asleep in my world civics class in grade school and the teacher being all pissed off at me. Again, if I had the mental state then that I have now, I would have told the guy. I remember the guy. I don't remember his name, but he was missing his ring finger on one of his hands. But anyways, he was a world civics teacher in grade school, and he just like gave me attitude like, "You dare fall asleep in my class?" Blah blah blah. But again, if I had the mindset back then that I had now, I'd be like, "Well, my father won't let me sleep. What can I say?" Because he didn't want to be alone. So getting up at 3 a.m. and not being able to go to bed till 10, 11 o'clock. Because he didn't want to be alone. The boy couldn't be alone. Our whole childhood revolved around that guy's needs. Our whole existence, according to him, the way he made me feel, and I think my sisters too, was our existence was to be subservient to him and to make him look good. To voluntarily involve ourselves in the facade that he is this beautiful, great human being. And towards the end of the 6 years, as I said, it got worse and worse and worse. I remember one distinctive memory I have is getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. First week, me and my sister had to walk the dogs, and me being so dog tired that I actually, while we waited for the dogs to do their business, I actually told my sister, Michelle, because he would let my sisters go to bed a little earlier. But anyways, I would crawl up in the grass and say, I'm gonna get a little bit of sleep. Wake me up when the dogs are done. Well, to my horror, I woke up to my sister coming back to get me after already going home and telling our father that I had gone to sleep in the grass. So I got a pretty good beating for that. My grandmother, like I said, my father was raised in a feminist household, and my grandmother's attitude to this whole thing was, okay, what did dear sonny boy do now? Okay, I will pay the fine and give him a good tongue lashing. And pretend it didn't happen. My sisters and I didn't have that luxury. We had to go home to his obsessive-compulsive behavior and deal with it every day. For my grandmother, it was all about the family image, protecting the family image. Oh, you got the family image. It's all about the. I got a whole other video I'm doing on how feminism is. It's all about the image and the hell with getting stuff done. It's all about the image. Not too constructive, but like I said, that's a topic for another video. I don't necessarily blame my grandmother for political forces that have led to third wave feminism. I just learned recently through conversations with my father. Over the years, I know how to pick out, when he's talking smack and when he's actually telling truth. And there's actually photos to back this up. But apparently, a lifelong dream of my grandmother's, unrealized dream, was to go to Hawaii. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but I have hope and faith that one day I will sit in a place like Hawaii, but better because it'll be God's domain. I wholeheartedly hope that my grandmother has acknowledged to God herself as a sinner. I think she has. And one day I will sit and laugh with her about how silly Earth existence really is. I have no desire to position my government for grievances. That is the feminist route, the blame game. I want to continue the process of figuring out this all for myself, like I have been doing for years, and figure out what the masculine route is. It is the feminist nature feminine nature to seek out help and guidance. It is the masculine nature is the lone wolf route. Examples to examine the world around you and to process it all, good and bad, in your own free thinking, masculine mind. Third wave feminism is a cancer in our world today, and we must work to fix this. And we as men can start by working on self-improvement and being much more selective about the uterus we choose to inseminate. It is my great hope that I will never become a ward of the state in my adult life. I was never a ward of the state in my adult life. I can honestly say that. They dropped jurisdiction over me before the age of 18. But I worry my governmental forces have the average man is where can make a situation where the average man has no choice but to be homeless. They already took the average man's ability to pay a mortgage and support a family on his income, and maybe, God forbid, sharing some of life's finer things. I often wonder to myself, if there had been no authority intervention in our abusive childhood, those 6 years, I often wonder, would I have become the alpha male in the house? Because my father was a freaking idiot. That's one thing. My fear of him was only because he was bigger than me. Intellectually, he was nothing. But the question is, would me and my sisters be able to survive mentally and emotionally? I often wonder what would have happened. I could see me taking a baseball bat to my father's car, in a heat of passion, and my father murdering me, and wondering if my grandma would actually cover that up. After all, it's all about the family image. That's, if things went really, really dark. But when you're young like that, there was the potential for it. Yeah, because if I had lived with that man under his authority through high school, I would have put him through a flunking wall. Trying to be civil and etiquette here. On the other hand, my grandmother did die. And then my grandfather was pretty much stepped up to the plate as the guy who decides everything. And I wonder, would he have put up with my father punching and kicking his grandchildren? At this point, he was already indoctrinated into the feminist agenda narrative. Proof of this would be in my grandmother's death. He would use what little money was left to help my father get another house. Not new this time, but still more than my father was able to honor and appreciate. Well, I've come to accept the role in my life, be content with. In my upbringing, I had become content with the title that was given to me as a child in grade school and as a ED, quote, slow student, given to me by the powers that be. Now I must at least examine the possibility that a higher sense of being was not content with that fate for me. Julia Sweetie, God said, ha, comes to mind. Julia Sweetie, she was on Saturday Night Live in the 80s, 90s. She passed away of ovarian cancer, but I always thought she was kind of a cool lady. And in the aftermath of all this, I would have to admit there were benefits to being labeled as slow. I was left to my own vices a lot of the time in school, in grade school. Not much was expected of me. To a degree, this would cause a diminished sense of ambition in me personally, but was by no means permanent, thank God. My frustrations with my mother and her lack of ambition in the years living with her would be testament to that later in life. But they left me to my own vices a lot of times in grade school, and I would have these periods of like 20, 30 minutes where I would actually be alone in the class after recess, and I would actually use that time to record on audio tapes. I unfortunately don't have any of those tapes. I'd basically talk into a recorder and just read Garfield or Peanuts comic strips or whatever. Or once I made up a song, which I do remember. Maybe I'll do that one time. Maybe I'll do that sometime on this channel. But yeah, they left me to my own devices, and I think that led to my seeing value and importance in recording stuff. But to a degree, for most of my life, I felt the need to project a false me to the world, to even family. Partly because I could never conform to this society. Now I know why. I guess to a degree I do owe a thanks to M of the 33 Secrets channel, YouTube channel. Most start a YouTube channel to project a false self. Imagine, I'm doing this for the opposite reasons in many ways. An example of my father's one-dimensional way of thinking, he believed and has stated that his mother is the only human being whom has a legitimate reason for being heavy and overweight. Her mother didn't let her ride a bike. Every other human being on the planet is fat and lazy, but his mother, she has a legitimate excuse. One-dimensional thinking. But I do have fond memories of my grandmother, and although I'm not in a hurry, I believe the Almighty still has stuff for me to do, even if those things are only for my own benefit. It's okay with me. But I do have faith that one day I will sit with my grandmother in a place like Hawaii, but better, because it'll be God's domain. But my father's guilty of evil, and so is my mother and grandmother. They are guilty of evil too. But the evil that they committed is a drop in the barrel compared to the evil that third-wave feminism has made room for in the modern world. And with that, I got just enough time to do my strength training routine, and then I got to go to work. I might do a video while en route to work. We'll see how that goes. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you got some kind of value out of it.